How many times have you shown up to sell something in your business, had a thought that you're not in a good enough mood or you don't feel high vibe enough, and then actually not sold anything, or at least not shown up to sell, and then the result is that you haven't sold anything? That's what we're going to clear in today's tapping session. I want you to feel so confident and safe that you can show up and sell no matter your mood, because do you know what? We don't need high vibes around here. We like them, we welcome them, we flow with them, we can create them and shift into them. Yes, yes, yes. And also, you're allowed to just like have a bad day and be amazing at what you do. You're allowed to be in a bad mood and make a sale. You're allowed to feel a bit grumpy and sign a new client. You know why? Because you're human. You're human. And you don't have to be perfect to sell. You don't have to be in the best mood every single day to have an incredible business. You just don't. Now, you might have just done the tapping video before on becoming fully booked and fully creative. Amazing. If not, go through the playlist at some stage. And if you would love to come and do this work with me, I would love to invite you into Fully Booked and Fully Creative. You'll find the link in the show notes. So what I'm going to do before we begin this tapping session is I'm going to pull a card from my Belief Balance deck to give us a little bit more information about what we might need for, whoa, do we need all of those? No, we don't need those. So the deck just made itself a little bit smaller. Thank you. I always test. So I pulled 3 cards. The first one is shock. And that can be, okay, there's a few, okay, I'll tell you all. The first is shock, then full, and then energy. So perfect. So the first one around shock could be this piece around, look, it could be so many things. It could either be a shock of like, hey, I'm doing so much. Why am I not more booked? Or why do I not have more clients? Which is almost like an indignation in a way. It could be the shock of, holy moly, I have so many clients now, and that's impacting my mood. It could be the shock of what I just said. You mean I don't have to be high vibe to sell? What? So I just want you to feel like, what is that, like a little joke? Like, what do you mean? Or I didn't expect this, or I wasn't anticipating this. Or it's like when your expectations don't quite match reality or meet reality. Then full and energy, I love. So, I mean, I love all the cards always, but this is like, yes, let's create a fullness. Let's create so much energy. And let's just know that you are full of value, no matter your energy, no matter your mood. Now, there's a really important caveat here. I am not ever saying, if you are tired, push through. There's a big difference between resistance, that, let's push through, and fatigue, that, no, sit on the couch, go for a walk, have a bath, have a rest. So that's really important for this piece around energy. I am never, ever, ever going to tell you to work when you're tired. I will always ask you what's going on if you're feeling resistant to something. And don't get me wrong, resistance can make us feel tired. I know, but we also know the difference. In our bodies, when we turn our mind off to it, drop in, we know the difference. So let's tap. Let's clear this. Let's tap into this energy of showing up. I ran a program a few years ago called Show Up and Vibe, which was where it's like you don't need to be in a perfect mood or high vibe energy to actually still be magnetic and radiant and calling clients in, calling opportunities, calling in ideas. So that's the energy that we're going for. How to show up and sell no matter your mood. So deep breath in and out, tapping on the side of your hand. Even though in the past, I've kind of felt like I needed to feel a certain way before I could show up in my business. And also, I should say this also is completely true for creative work as well. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though sometimes if I'm not in the best mood, I feel like I'm not going to do my best work, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I've never thought of this before. I've never thought of how I might think that I can't do good work or call clients in if I'm not in a good mood. And I'm ready to release that now because I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And all this pressure that I've been placing on myself to show up in a certain way because maybe some coach told me that I had to do that once. Or maybe the algorithm is like, do this perfect way. Show up like this. Or maybe I've been a little bit stuck in comparison in perfectionism. I just don't need to be like that anymore. I don't need to show up like that anymore. Because I am so valuable as I am today. I am so worthy of showing up and being seen no matter my mood. My energy, my thoughts, it is of such high value, always. Even if my thoughts about my value wavers, I am still always worthy and enough as I am. And when I really tap into that and feel that, I feel all that pressure being released from my system. It doesn't mean I need to tell the entire world every thought I'm having. But it means I know that I can access the truth of what I want to show up and share, even if I'm having a bad day. And I'm really in touch with myself. So I know the difference between fatigue and resistance. I will rest when I feel fatigued. I will rise when I feel resistance. I can show up and sell no matter my mood. I can show up and create no matter my mood. I can show up and sign clients and receive opportunities and get a big yes no matter my mood. I can also always shift my mood. I'm really powerful like that. I can always process what I'm feeling. And also sometimes I can just receive when I'm a bit grumpy, because I'm a human living real life, and that is part of life. If I were to wait for perfection to grow my business and build my body of work, I would be waiting for a long time. And we probably wouldn't call me the most patient person in the world, so I'm happy to keep things moving. And that means allowing myself to show up with all versions of myself. I don't need perfect hair. I just went to the hairdresser, so it's pretty perfect, but I don't usually look like this. I don't need the perfect outfit, the perfect backdrop, the perfect Canva document. What I create is perfect in its enoughness because it came from me. And I am perfect in my enoughness. Meaning everything I create is enough when it comes through me and when I put it out into the world to call in more of what I want. Whether that's clients or creative work or something even better. Deep breath in and out. Just take a moment to sit here, to breathe, to receive. And I'd love for you to just take a moment to think about how you're going to show up today. How are you going to show up if you are not having the best day? And yes, sometimes that means showing up for yourself and not your clients or your work. Sometimes that means, how am I going to show up for myself? But having a think about like, how could I show up to sell, to serve, to create with all of my energy, with this fullness? And just take a moment to picture what that might look like. Maybe some ideas come to you and you jot them down in a moment. And then taking a deep breath in and out, you can open your eyes. And I'd love to hear in the comments what came through for you with that tapping. And as I said, if you would love to come and do this work with me, I would love to invite you into Fully Booked and Fully Creative. The link is in the show notes, and I'm here if you have any questions.